Ever since the age of 7, I knew I was destined to be a rock star. The year was 1977, and I walked into a music store and saw the display for Kiss Alive 2. There were life-size cutouts of Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. And I was like, holy cow, I need this record. So I snatch it off the shelf, and I rush home, and I open up the record. When I open it up, it's a double album, for people that don't know this, pre-CDs. Double album, open it up, and on the inside is the full stage, all elevated up, and there's all this pyrotechnics and lights, and they're all up there with their costumes and their makeup and everything. I was like, one day, that's gonna be me. I pictured it playing to thousands of screaming fans in smoke-filled arenas, traveling the world, and having lots of parties. So at the age of 13, I got my first electric guitar and I started working on that dream. Well, the following year, my family decided to move from Long Island, New York to Puerto Rico. So at the age of 14, I'm swept 1,600 miles away, across the ocean, to a place that I don't know anybody and I can't speak the language. Well, it happened to be the perfect opportunity to dive headfirst into learning all I could about guitar and forging that dream to be a rock star. So I would practice for hours on end, and my bedroom was at the front of the house, and the window faced the street. So I would be up there in my room playing in front of the window, and all the neighborhood kids would stop on the sidewalk to watch me and listen to me play. And that became my conduit to making friends. So next thing you know, I'm in a garage band called Rage, spelled with a J instead of a G. Well, because that was the cool thing to do in the 80s. So I met some other musicians as time went on, and I wound up forming another band called Angel Rage. There's a little bit of a pattern. So Angel Rage actually reached a pretty decent level of popularity in the San Juan area, and it just kind of further fueled that desire to one day be a rock star. At the age of 18, now I'm old enough to start getting into some of the local bars and venues and whatnot where they bring bands in from the United States. And I would go watch them play. And every once in a while I get the opportunity to go on stage and jam with them, which always delighted my friends in the crowd. Well, one night I'm in a bar called Louisa Street Station watching a band called Center Stage. And they're a really good band. And during the break, I go up and I introduce myself to the drummer, Mark. I say, hey man, my name's Johnny, man. I think you guys are really good. And he's like, hey Johnny, I appreciate that. He's like, are you a musician? I said, yeah, I play guitar. You mind if I get up and jam with you guys tonight? He's like, yeah, I'm sure we can arrange something. All right, cool. Well, before the next set's about to start, he comes up to me and he says, so listen, man, when we get back to the States here in a couple of weeks, I'm thinking about starting my own new band, and I'm looking for a guitarist. So consider this an audition. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, you know. So I get up on stage and I play my song. It was Keep Your Hands to Yourself by the Georgia Satellites. No huggy, no kissy, yeah, anyway. So I get off the stage and I'm like, think I nailed it, right? This guy's gonna be impressed. And when the break comes along, he comes up to me and he says, hey man, so I'm sorry I didn't get to listen to you play because I was dealing with some technical issues with the soundboard. How about you give me your phone number and I'll reach back out to you in a few weeks and you can send me a demo tape. And I'm like, they're with my chance, all right? So anyway, I give him my number, head out, and it's a couple of weeks later, and I get home from work, and my dad says to me, hey kiddo, you got a call from some guy named Mark. He wants you to call him back. And I'm like, holy shit, Pop, that's the guy I was telling you about that I got up and jammed with, and he was talking about like auditioning and a demo tape. He's like, well, what do you think he wants? I said, he probably wants a demo tape. So I go run upstairs and I start working on it right away. And I started laying down some really classic rock tracks, right? Like Carry On Wayward Son, Rock and Roll Band, Over the Hills and Far Away, and of course, some Kiss. In particular, Ace Frehley's solo in Shock Me. So I get with Mark, he gives me an address to mail the tape off to, and I package it up and I send it on its way, and I wait. And the next 2 weeks took an eternity. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from Mark. He's like, hey Johnny, got the tape. Listen to it, I think it's great. You got the gig if you want it. And I'm in shock, like I thought I was gonna faint. So it was like, okay, yeah, so I'm gonna need to talk to my folks, right? So mind you, I'm 19, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna need to talk to my parents, and can I get back to you tomorrow? He's like, yeah, sure. So now I'm terrified to talk to my parents about it, see, because my dad really wanted me to go to college, and I really did not. So I wasn't sure what type of reaction I was gonna get. But I sat mom and pop down and I was like, hey, so Mark called me and he offered me the gig. And their faces were just kind of like stoic. And my dad just looks at me and says, okay, so what are the details? I said, well, I'd make like $200 a week. The contracts include a place to stay. I don't need a car because I can ride around with them in the van. All I need is my guitar, my amp, and some clothes. And my dad just kind of shakes his head and he says, all right, well, so what you gonna do? I said, Pop, I gotta take this chance. I don't want to live my life wondering, what if? So a month later, grabbed my guitar, my amp, and my suitcase, and I boarded a plane out of San Juan, Puerto Rico to Spartanburg, South Carolina. And when I get there, I wind up getting checked in at the Days Inn in Gaffney, South Carolina. If you've ever been there, there's a giant peach water tower on the side of the road off on I-95 that looks like a giant ass, right? So anyway, I get checked in at the Days Inn, and the next day, Mark and the rest of the band, which was called Catch-22, they arrive. We get together and everyone's kind of meeting and greeting and just kind of getting to know each other, and we start the next 2 weeks rehearsing for our first gig. So our first gig was in a very small town in Georgia called Vidalia. If that sounds familiar, yes, home of the sweet onions, right? So that first Monday night we get on stage and we're playing to like 10 people. And that was at the beginning of the night. By the end of the night, I think there was like 3. And I'm like, okay, this isn't really at all what I was expecting it to be. But as time went on and we got better and gained more of a reputation, the gigs started getting bigger, the pay got better, the crowds got bigger, and we started playing in some bigger cities like, Memphis, Atlanta, Charlotte. And it was great. And I was living the rock star life. But sometimes it was just really kind of chill. It was like a regular job. We would get up about noon, because we were up until 4 in the morning. We'd get up about noon, go hang out at the pool, go to the beach, play tennis, go fishing, or just do nothing. And then we would go and we'd play live music from 8 until 2 in the morning. Get back and watch lots of reruns on Nick at Night, like the Beverly Hillbillies and Andy Griffith. And then we do it all over again the next day. So for the next 3 years, I was the lead guitarist for Catch-22. From the ages of 19 to 22, I did more during those 3 years than some people do in their entire lives. And it was a phenomenal experience. I wound up leaving the band for a girl, which was not a good idea. Well, because, a week after I got home, that relationship was over, right? But it was all good. It was a great time. Mark and the band were like family to me, and I was the little brother. And I learned a ton from all of them, and that experience definitely helped shape me into the person that I am today. Ever since then, I still have I've had some small gigs here and there, done some open mic night stuff, but nothing quite like my time in Catch-22. And today, it's been 49 years since that dream of becoming a rock star was born, and I'm still a rock star, but just in my basement.